That's for tomorrow. So text 8. Is it a good text? Can I have a Bhagavad Gita? As is. Ramadimudijun Galani Aminatishtana Nabakarana Prabhuvanishu Panda Pamanyam Govindamadi Purusham Damam Bhavaya. Grand opening was Govardhan Puja 1977. Yep.
You came to SanDiego at that time, about that time?
Summer of 77.
I was in India.
India.
This was Boston, and I was Seattle.
Past.
New Zealand, Arizona. And I went to Boston. I'm from Seattle. Quite an international community now.
Hare Krishna. Yes, it is. It is. It is. Thank you. Very few souls. Hey, Abhinan, you giving class or am I giving class? I'm not joking. Just give him the microphone. Run with it. It's good. It sounds good. No, you're stealing my wind here. Oh, you're stealing my wind. I can't. Oh, can you get something for me? You know, my green bag that's hanging up in the gyro, little side bag. Inside the main pocket, a little brown brown case with a little pair of glasses. That was the secret, so I can see what I'm doing here. Okay, there we go. 66. Perfect. I sent the right man. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. I think you turned it down. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha
Madhava Kunja
Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Gopi Janna Vallabha Giri Varadari
Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari
Gopi Janna Vallabha Giri Varadari
Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari
Asura Nandana Braja Janna Ranjana
Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanacharya Jamuna Tira Vanacharya Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Sri Sri Radha Madhava ki Sri Sri Radha Giridhari ki Jai Jayom Vishnupad Paramhamsa Paribraj ki Jai Shodra Sri Sri Mad His Divine Grace Savai Charanara Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki Jai ISKCON founder Charya Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki Jai Gaura Premanandi all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Shpati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Padacharini Nivashesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Adeshatarane. So this morning we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, 32nd chapter. Only got one chapter after this about Lord Kapila Dev, then we move into another section of the Bhagavatam. Today's verse is 8. Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskricham Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudiyadiyat. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So here's the Sanskrit. Yep. Dviparadasvasaneya Pralayo Brahmanastute Tavad adyasate lokam Parasya parachintakaha Dviparadhavasaneya Pralayo brahmanastute Tavad adyasate lokam Parasya parachintakaha Dviparadhavasaneya Pralayo brahmanastute Tavad adyasate lokam Parasya parachintakaha Dviparardhavasaniya
Viparadavasaneya
Pralayo Brahmanastute
Brahmanastute
Tavadadyasate Lokam
Te lokam
Parasya Parachintakaha.
Parasya Parachintaka
Anyone like the chant?
Brahmanastute
Tavadadyasate lokam
Avadadyasate lokam
Parasya parachintakaha
Parasya Parachintakaha Dviparadvavasaneya Valo Brahmanastute Lokam Parachintakaha Dviparadvavasaneya Pralayo Brahmanastute Tavadhyasate lokam Parasya Parachintakaha.
Anyone else? Okay. Word for word. Dvipararda. Two parardas. Avasani. You're already bored. I just got through one word. Okay. Hare Krishna. Avasani. At the end of. Yeah. Which? Pralaya. Death. Brahmana. Of Lord Brahma. Two. Indeed. Te. They. Tavat. So long. Abhyasate. Dwell. Excuse me. Lokam. On the planet. Parasya. Of the Supreme. Parachintakaha. Thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Excuse me. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Worshippers of the Hiranyagarbha expansion of the personality of Godhead remain within this material world until the end of two parardas, when Lord Brahma also dies. Purport. One dissolution is at the end of Brahma's day, and one is at the end of Brahma's life. Brahma dies at the end of two parardas, at which time the entire material universe is dissolved. Persons who are worshippers of Hiranyagarbha, the plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, do not directly approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vaikuntha. They remain within this universe on Satyaloka or other higher planets until the end of the life of Brahma. Then, with Brahma, they are elevated to the spiritual kingdom. The words Parasya Parachintakaha mean always thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or being always Krishna conscious. When we speak of Krishna, this refers to the complete category of Vishnu Tattva. Krishna includes the three Purusha incarnations, namely Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, as well as all the incarnations taken together. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Ramadi Murtishu Kala Niyamena Tishtan. Lord Krishna is perpetually situated with his many expansions such as Rama, Narasingha, Vamana, Madhusudan, Vishnu, and Narayan. He exists with all his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions, and each of them is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The words Parasya Parachintakaha mean those who are fully Krishna conscious. Such persons enter directly into the kingdom of God, the Vaikuntha planets, or if they are worshippers of the plenary portion Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, they remain within this universe until its dissolution, and after that they enter. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksulunminitam Dena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Second. Have you okay? Worshippers of the Hiranyagarbha expansion of the personality of Godhead remain within this material world until the end of two parardhas, when Lord Brahma also dies. So, Lord Kapila Deva here is talking about going back home, back to the spiritual world. There's a few verses here about how that happens. Of course, the central theme is it only happens when one becomes completely purified, completely Krishna conscious, as we would say, completely conscious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and love and devotion. So, purport begins by explaining that there are two dissolutions of Brahma's day. Abrahma bhuvana loka, Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, that from the highest planet down to the lowest, all are places of misery, repeated birth and death take place. So, the very nature of this material world is, because it's under the purview or control of time, you have past, present, and future. That doesn't exist in the same way in the spiritual world at all. But because everything's being pushed by time, there's a whole dynamic that the soul has to get used to. And actually the soul never gets used to, but the soul has to accept control of or by past, present, and future. And it's very mystical if you think about it, the passing of time, because when does the past end and when does the future begin? Right? You want to break it down into nanoseconds, even less than that. At what point does the past start becoming the past and the future become the future? It's very bewildering. So what's described here is that the whole universe, everything in this material world, goes to these phases of time, and earlier in this canto was the chapter, right? The calculation of time from the atom, describing how the movement of time is measured, even from a little movement of an atom all the way up to, actually just beyond this is the breathing of Vishnu. It's like a picture over there in the corner is describing this. So all the way down there you have Mahavishnu, expanding, and then from him all the universes come, and then in every universe you have this Hiranyagarbha, or Garbhodakshai Vishnu. From him Lord Brahma comes, and then from Lord Brahma, by the grace of the Lord, he has the ability to put all the planets and everything to fill up the universe. Now, this particular universe, there's two dissolutions described here. At the end of each of Lord Brahma's days, which go for, is it 4 billion? Some 300 million? Yeah. Because in the, what do you call it? Forbidden archaeology, there's one find, some little sphere like this, and they dated it, moderns, they dated it at about 4 billion years. So Sariputta makes the point that, well, we accept that the present creation is the beginning of Lord Brahma's day. So, I think it was 2 billion, because day means, when they say day, it means day and night. So it's 2 billion something years of night, 2 billion years of something day. But at the end of his day, he goes to sleep, and then the universe is partially annihilated up to the higher planets. And then he wakes up and he's got to put everything back and then go on. But at the end of Lord Brahma's life, the whole universe is once again absorbed into the body of Mahavishnu, like that. That exhaling and inhaling of the Lord. All the universes come out, and then all the universes go back in. It is said that God is bigger than the biggest and smaller than the smallest, so the Vedas explain here, just one expansion of the Lord Mahavishnu, he's so big that from his breathing, unlimited universes are coming. And then he inhales, and they all come back inside. And then he exhales. That's big. And that same Lord is so small, he enters into everyone's heart and in every atom, in his completeness. So, that period of time is known as parardhas. And 2 parardhas, that's 311 trillion years or something like that. Half of that is a parardha. So Lord Brahma lives for 2 of those. And actually he's in his middle age. He's actually in the second half of those 2 parardhas, like that. When you do a sankalpa, you chant that. The Lord Brahma is actually in the second half of his life. That's one of the time calculations. So, now it says here, persons who worship that particular form of the Lord known as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, from whom Lord Brahma comes, they don't go back immediately to the spiritual world. They can stay here because they're worshiping Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who is the Vishnu of this universe, you could say. From him expand the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, Paramatma in the heart. So they stay here, but they reside in the higher planets, Lord Brahmaloka, Satyaloka, these different planets of sages, and they live out their life for hundreds of thousands and even millions of years. But when the universe dissolves, then they just go with Lord Brahma back to the spiritual world. So that's one way of going back home, back to Godhead. So, not necessarily direct. So in the second paragraph of the purport, this parasya para chintakaha means always thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or always being Krishna conscious. And we'll read a little bit from the Bhagavad Gita about that. But Prabhu says, when we speak of Krishna, it means the complete category of Vishnu Tattva. So within Krishna, all of the forms of the Lord are there. In fact, everything is there. When you say Krishna, just like sometimes someone will say, why Krishna? Why do you worship Krishna? Why Krishna? Why not this? Why not that? But when you say Krishna, you're saying the absolute truth. And what is the absolute truth? Janmada yasyataha. What does that mean? Well, you shook your head yes, you're agreeing very nicely. Janmada yasyataha. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattat sarvabhartate. How about that one? Aham sarvasya prabhavo. Source of everything, all material and spirit. In other words, everything is coming from the Lord. So when you say Krishna, you're saying the absolute truth. That's everything. So it's a matter of understanding. When we say Krishna, we're talking about everything, or the absolute truth, the ultimate source of everything. And that's what we say when you say Krishna. So within that, you have all these different expansions, plenary expansions. That plenary means on the same level. The Vishnu Tattva. They're all Krishna. I mean, it's a tattva, it's a truth, it takes some understanding. But the, what is that verse in the Bhagavatam? It is I forget the term for it, but it's the verse the whole Bhagavatam expands from. But it says, No, I'm talking. No, there's a Jiva Goswami explains this one verse is what the whole Bhagavatam expands from, and it's in the first canto, and it's what is that? Oh, come to me, right there in the first canto of the Bhagavatam. Injani lokam bilakulam mudanti yuge yuge. And that Krishna is the source of all the different expansions. Krishna is tu Bhagavan Swayam. Yeah, ete chamsa kalapumsa, Krishna is tu Bhagavan Swayam. It says this is actually the verse the whole Bhagavatam is an expansion of. The whole Bhagavatam is backing up or elaborating on this one verse. Ete chamsa kalapumsa, Krishna tu Bhagavan Swayam. There are so many different expansions of God and plenary, but Krishna tu Bhagavan Swayam. But the original Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna, who appears from time to time, yuge yuge, to annihilate the enemies of Lord Indra. So that's Krishna. So all these different expansions, and of course Krishna expands himself in all these different forms really for the pleasure of his devotees, because they have different rasas or relationships. That's why he has all these different forms. He wants to, what's that? Rasa. Rasa hivaisa, like that. What has that? There's 3 words. Rasa, relationships. So the whole existence is there because the Supreme Lord wants to enjoy with all the living entities. Just like why do parents have children? I'm talking to a group of brahmacharis and a sannyasi, so I'm going to blank on that one. Maybe how about you? Why don't we have children? Abhinandan. Why do parents have children? Or a husband and wife have children? Yes, for enjoyment, to expand the enjoyment, right? To expand that's the one I'm looking for. to expand the enjoyment, the rasa, more all the people enjoying, and right, the relationships of mother and father and children and sons and daughters and so on and so on. In fact, I was just listening to a lecture yesterday, I think it was Radha Maharaj. No, another one, Bhakti Vijayapurna Maharaj. He said there's an expression in Bengal, when you bless someone, what you say is, may your family members increase. That's a blessing. May your family members increase.
It's a blessing in agrarian society.
Especially.
Not in an industrial.
Right.
Industrial society, children are difficult to have.
Yeah. So,
Agrarian society are blessing in absolutely everything.
yeah. So there is a saying in Bengal, may your family increase, like this. So many. In fact, there's some saying in Bengal too. I remember hearing a lecture that may you live so long that you can see the, like great grandchild, like that big dynasty. So, anyways, it's their relationships, like that blissful relationships. So. The understanding, Prabhu gives that analogy that Krishna expands himself into all these different plenary expansions and tattvas and jiva, living entities. Why? Simply to enjoy relationships. That's all. All these different varieties of relationships. And and we know in the Vaishnava understanding, it's not just servitorship, but all the rasas are there. Right? You have dasya, you have right? Servitorship, but then you also have friendship, and then you have parental, and you have conjugal, and you have all these different relationships are there. They're ultimately there in the spiritual world. And God, in the material world, there's just a reflection of those. So, it's true that these are all expansions of the Lord, and devotees have relationships with these different forms of the Lord. Well, there's one purport in the Bhagavad Gita that comes to mind where Prabhupada says that's there, but as devotees of Krishna, we're fixing our mind just on that particular form of Krishna, Shyama Sundar, Yashodanandan, like that. He's the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, and of course, and that is our line also. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was bringing the worship, revealing the intimate worship and relationship with Krishna, Govinda, like that. Because in that relationship with Krishna, all of the rasas, all of the relationships are in their most perfect form. There's perfect, Krishna is explained as being perfect, more perfect, and most perfect, right? So any relationship with any form of the Lord, you can say is perfect. But the relationship with Krishna is most perfect. And because the rasas are the most sweet, and there's actually certain elements of a relationship with Krishna that aren't there in the other avatars of the Lord. They're not there. That doesn't mean these other relationships, there's something wrong with them. Different jivas have a certain relationship with the Lord. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we were talking about this, Prabhupada says this, prasya para chintakaha, always thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now the whole Bhagavad Gita was spoken, you have 700 verses here, and but there's a conclusion. I think I mentioned in a previous class when I was in Phoenix a few weeks ago, performing a wedding, and then after the wedding I was waiting for a ride, and different people were sitting and talking to me, waxing eloquently on their understanding of Bhagavad Gita. Like that. How the Bhagavad Gita, there's you have karma, and you have jnana and bhakti, and Krishna leaves it up to us to choose which path we want. That was one gentleman's understanding of the Bhagavad Gita, right? So,
He does leave it up to us to choose.
but in the sense that they're all equal. They're all equal paths. They're all equal. And that was his point. He said, I choose, they're all equal. And they're all equal. You're right. Krishna says in the end, do what you want to do. But there is a conclusion in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 18th chapter, as Krishna is giving his final opinion about devotional service and going back home, back to Godhead.
There's gradation overall.
Yes. But they're saying there's no gradation. It's all just information, and it's all wonderful. And whether you perform karma or jnana or bhakti, ultimately that's perfection. Krishna just wants you to do something like that. So there's no difference, like that, but there's a gradation here. And at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying here, just a few words about this, fixing your mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This Bhakti Mam Abhijananti, that verse there says, one can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotional service, he can enter into the kingdom of God. That's what's being described here in this verse, in the Bhagavatam. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee under my protection reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. In all activities just depend upon me, work always under my protection, in such devotional service be fully conscious of me. So again, this conscious, being fully conscious of the Lord. And then if you become conscious of me, you'll pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. That's quite a benediction. This is verses Machita Sarvadurgani, Mat Prasada Tarishasi. So, all the obstacles, all the difficulties of material existence, one can easily cross over them, Tarishasi, Mat Prasada, by Krishna's grace. Why? How? Just by being conscious of the Lord. And that's the whole science of Bhakti Yoga, how to be conscious of the Lord 24 hours a day. By developing bhakti, devotion, love. The most intense meditation on another person is when you're in love with that person. I mean, it can be pretty intense when you're really angry at someone, right? But that subsides. How long can you it's not as, it subsides. It's when you're in love with someone. You can't stop thinking about them. So that's the point, right? That's how it is. How is it one can think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead always, right? Always. It's by developing love. When you're in love with something or you're really attached to something, you're always thinking of it. Is anyone thinking about breakfast? Janardhan? Okay. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego and not hearing me, you'll be lost. If you, the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as a machine made of material energy. And then we skip here to the this final verse, Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto. There's two verses like this in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you're my very dear friend. So this is what's described here as the path of fixing one's consciousness upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are those who say it doesn't matter what you think about. As many people, as many paths. How do you say that? Is it yatapat? Yatamat? As many people, as many? Mat? Tatapat. As many people, as many paths. It's whatever you think of. Doesn't matter. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, it does matter. Those who worship the demigods go to the demigods. They go to the higher planets. Right? Those who worship the forefathers, they can go to those planets. Those who worship ghosts and spirits, they can join them. But one who worships me goes back home, back to the spiritual world. So that's what it's very particular. But the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotion, again, we're worshiping the absolute truth. And when you understand Krishna, what is it you don't understand? That's the difference. And 826. So that's the process of a devotional service. And how to fix our mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that's the big challenge. And that's the yoga. Actually, that's what yoga means, to link our consciousness with the Supreme. And how to do that, how to fix our mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's not an easy task, is it? Every day we're trying. And this age, this particular day and age, what's been given is the easiest process. As the Prabhu says, it's easy, but the application is difficult. Right? The process is easy, but the application is difficult. But as easy as it can possibly be made. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the avatar, the incarnation of Krishna in the age of Kali, and adjusting things accordingly to make it as easy as possible to fix the mind upon the Supreme Lord, upon the Absolute Truth. And that is through the chanting of the holy names, right? That's through the chanting of the holy names. Cheto darpana marjanam bhavamaha davagni davapanam. And it becomes easier and easier as one's consciousness becomes purified. There's a change. I think Badrinath Maharaj, when he was speaking Sunday night, one of the examples he gave was just like if you want to cut something and you have a dull knife, you're not going to be able to cut it. Or if you want to measure something, if you try to measure the temperature using a barometer, is that going to work, Damodar? Do you know what a barometer is? Oh, okay. Do you know a barometer? What does a barometer measure? Yeah, pressure, air pressure, like that. So temperature, you need a thermometer, not a barometer, right? So you have to have the right instrument, and you have or just like the example of the knife. If the knife is sharp, whoosh, go right through the piece of bread, right? If it's dull, it's very difficult. So as our consciousness becomes purified, it becomes easier and easier, and actually automatic as the consciousness fixes upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because the original consciousness of the jiva, the soul, is devotion. That's why even in this material world, as covered as we are, devotion and love is what everyone is singing about, right? That's what what makes the world go around, because that's the original energy of the soul. Unfortunately, in the material world, it's perverted as it comes out, and we become in love or attached to temporary things, and things just don't work out because it's coming from the soul. So as the consciousness becomes purified, it's meditating on Krishna is irresistible. Irresistible. You can't stop thinking of Krishna. You just can't stop. And we read in the lives of the great devotees who are pure in heart, how they just can't stop thinking of Krishna. 24 hours a day. Like that, in great devotion and love. In fact, there's an ecstasy there. A devotional spiritual bliss or ecstasy is so great the body can't contain it. And that's what those ecstatic symptoms are. The hair standing on end and tears flowing from the eyes like torrents of rain. Not a little drip, 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 but like torrents of rain. And there's so many pastimes we can discuss, but we don't have time. So these are the great devotees. They're just always thinking of Krishna, always thinking of Krishna. And I'll end with one story. I might have told this recently. Burijan was told this story that Burijan Prabhu, he's traveling with Prabhupada in the mid-70s. And mostly along the Pacific Rim and so on. But then they came to Dallas, because he was at that time also connected with the Gurukulas, the schools, and there's the Gurukula there in Dallas. And he said, he was telling the devotees, this was a seminar in Chaupati, that when you were with Prabhupada, you entered into this bubble of complete Krishna consciousness. And he said you just couldn't help but not be Krishna conscious in Prabhupada's presence. And Prabhupada was always thinking of Krishna. And he said sometimes it was a little challenging because Prabhupada would bring you up to a higher level of surrender and doing more and more and more. It's contagious. And he said it was such an amazing feeling being with Prabhupada. And then when he was in Dallas, he had never been on the altar before. Never done any puja on an altar with deities. And they asked him if he'd like to go on the altar and offer arti to Sri, was it Radha Kalachandji? Right? And he said when he stepped onto the altar to do the service, the feeling of being right in the presence of Krishna immediately came to him. It's exactly what it was like being next to Prabhupada. Now why is that? Because Prabhupada was always with Krishna, completely Krishna conscious. So that atmosphere of Vrindavan or always being with Krishna, Prabhupada carried it wherever he was, and it was contagious. So it was a nice realization he had that it was just, immediately he thought of, this is exactly what it's like being with Srila Prabhupada, because he's completely Krishna conscious. So, that's a little bit about this parasya. Parachintakaha, always thinking of Krishna. So, manmana bhavamad bhakto madjaji mam namaskuru mam vaishasi satyamte pratijani priyosi me. Krishna says, very simple. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer your homage unto me, and what will happen to you? You'll come back to me. Very, very simple. Any questions or comments on anything that was discussed here? Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you. So before you were saying that basically we have to fix the mind on Krishna. intense meditation on Krishna is, and I kind of...
You know, but when the priti is there, love is there.
So, on what particular stage of bhakti does that natural attraction kind of overcome or outweigh that the...
Other stuff?
Yeah, the distraction.
Well, you have nishta, which is you're very, very steady. Then there's a sakta, which means attraction. You can't have that attraction until one becomes very steady and one's material desires and material attraction just kind of subsides. It's no longer, you're no longer interested. Then it becomes, a big point is your attraction for Krishna actually begins the very first day you get in touch with Krishna consciousness. Oh, what is this? Such a beautiful picture, philosophy, devotees, fantastic prasadam, Mahabharat prepared. You know, you become attracted. There's always that that ananda, that Krishna's all attractive. So anyway, just like you get a big sweet ball, right? Wherever you bite in, it's quite tasty. Maybe take a little bite, you take a big bite, it's all very sweet and tasty. So, but then it becomes, increases as we become purified. But those are that attraction becomes thicker and thicker and thicker from nishta on, like that, because you're not disturbed. It's always disturbed. Oh, Prabhu had an ecstatic morning program like that. I'm just very, very fired up, and all of a sudden something happens, and right? The distractions are there because we're attracted to them, right? You know what rubbernecking is? You know what rubbernecking is? Rubbernecking. You know what rubbernecking is? What's rubbernecking?
An accident on the freeway. Everybody turns and looks, and it slows down.
Yeah, you see something, you look and say, "Whoa, what was that?" Right? So we're going along, and just going along, all of a sudden we see something attractive. Whoa, what was that? A rubberneck, like your neck's made out of rubber. Whoa, what was that? So that's we have to get free from the level of being a rubberneck level, like that. We just no longer look back. Wow, what was that? It's just like we're not interested. We're just not interested. We have something much higher, much better, like that. So we can end here. All glories to Srila. Question, Jamal.
Earlier in your lecture, you mentioned, I can't remember exactly what you said, but you mentioned that the servitorship in the Dasya Ras, but it sounded like you relegated servitorship only to that Ras. What about Vatsalya?
There's 5. You have the 5 rasas. Right? You got Shanta Ras, which means neutrality. Then you have Dasya, Sakya, Vatsal, and Madhurya. So all 5 relationships that one can have, their origin is there in the spiritual world. They're manifest in this material world, but in imperfection, and therefore we're never satisfied. Yes?
So, well, the servitorship is also in the higher Rasas.
All the lower rasas you'll find in the higher. All of them are there in the higher. They're contained within, just like it says the elements. Within earth you've got all, so that's how it goes. So all those, there's feelings in that way. Like that.
I think the way it came out, it just kind of threw me off for a second.
Yeah, I threw you a curveball. Just wanted to see if you're listening. Okay, so we can end here. All glories to Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.